Hey, it's Mark Lanier with your video thought for the day. So the last couple of videos I've talked about kind of taking a personal fitness test, except instead of looking at your physical fitness, looking at your spiritual fitness. And what does that entail? I want to try to start shifting a little bit now. And for the rest of this week, what I'd like to talk about is what we can do to grow spiritually. What are the disciplines that we can engage in that will help us become not only more godly, but help God's Spirit work within our lives to rewire our brains, to rewire our hearts, to give us greater vision and clarity of focus, to help us better hear God, to help us enjoy and appreciate God. In a sense, all of the senses and mind and heart, all of them put together. How can we grow so that God grows in all aspects of our being? And so I want to talk about a couple of those disciplines this week. And the first one I want to talk about is prayer. Now, you know, if I was Jewish, I would have a little scroll put into the entry of my doorway. And that scroll would have what's the Jewish Shema. Shema is just the Hebrew word that means listen, as an instruction, like instruction, order. Listen, Shema. And it comes from the Torah passage where God tells Jews to say, to teach, to keep this very important stricture. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God the Lord is one. He's one God. And to say this as a prayer of sorts is something that's done every time a practicing Jew enters into their house. They'll kiss. And every time they leave, they'll kiss, because it needs to be in the forefront of their brains as they leave and as they come in, that this is God and this is who He is and He controls their life. Now, a Christian counterpart of sorts to that has historically been the Lord's Prayer. And it's called that even though so much of the way Jesus taught His apostles to pray and His disciples to pray, so much of it comes from ancient Jewish prayers in that day. Shouldn't surprise us, Jesus was Jewish. But the Lord's Prayer being, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come and thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts or trespasses, as we forgive those who have trespassed or who are indebted to us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And that prayer is one that in the early Christian movement, we learn from one of the earliest Christian documents, the Didache, that is a prayer that Christians were to pray 3 times a day. So you've got the Jews saying the Shema 3 times a day. You've got Christians saying prayers 3 times a day. 3 times a day. Not to mention every time they go in and go out if they're Jewish, or for Christians they would pray over meals, which Jews do as well. They pray in the morning, they would pray at night. This is something that's not just a ritual. It's something that has meaning. And it has substance. We're not doing this to alter who God is. God's not changing. But as we do this, we alter how God comes into our life. And that's why the Jewish lawyer and Christian apostle Paul, or Shaul was his Hebrew name, that's why he's told his followers to pray without ceasing, to always be in a constant mode of dialogue and prayer with God. Let God be ever present in your mind. And so I find it useful from a very practical basis to say the Lord's Prayer, to say the Shema. Sometimes I say the Shema in English, sometimes I say it in Hebrew, sometimes I say the Lord's Prayer in English, sometimes I say it in Greek. But not only to do that, but to pray over meals. Don't let a piece of food enter your mouth without thanking God and acknowledging it from God. And then last but not least, I keep a list of people that I need to be praying for, people who've sought my prayers or people who I just understand need to be praying for. And I try to pray for those people. And I think that this is a spiritual discipline, prayer, which will help transform who we are and continue to grow us up before God. I urge you to work on your prayer life, even if it's amazing. Work on your prayer life and watch God work in you. It's your video thought for the day.